And welcome back. It is the Brett Winterble Show right here on Newsmax TV. It's great to be spending this time with you, and I'm happy to welcome back to the show. He's a good friend of the program, and he's a man who has served his nation honorably. Former Special Agent Eric Caron joins us. You know him from Switched on Life. SwitchedOnLife.com is the website, and he joins us now. Eric, as you look at this story that's unfolded out of El Paso and Dayton, and I'll throw Gilroy, California last Sunday in there, we see any common thread lines running through these things?
First, Brett, thanks for having me. It's a tragedy that's going on in America, and it's been going on in America, Brett, for decades. And I do think there's a common theme in a lot of these shootings. And we are a fatherless society here in America, and we need to understand that 1 out of 4 kids in America does not have a dad in their lives. Our families are falling apart. Our churches are falling apart because our people aren't going to church or have religion in their lives, and our medical facilities and our schools aren't doing a good job catching these folks prior to a shooting. There's always telltale signs that someone is about to act. And we as a society all share in this responsibility. We all share in the fact that our society is turned very violent. Just look at Chicago over the weekend, Brett. I have the numbers. 46 wounded in Chicago this weekend. 7 killed. Come on, we can do better than this. Our society needs to understand that we need to do a better job with our families, our churches, and our schools.
One of the big trauma hospitals in Chicago is a hospital called Mount Sinai, and it got so out of control over the weekend, just for the record, that they put them on bypass, meaning you can't bring any more gunshot victims into this hospital. You got to go to the other hospitals because we are overwhelmed. Now, that's in Chicago. In Baltimore, which I know was a big subject of a fight last week, that was 200 people. You've had the 200th homicide recorded in the city of Baltimore over this weekend. But when you look at this, right, because everybody's just saying this is white nationalism, this is white supremacy, and that may be an element, right? In El Paso, I think that probably is likely the motive. I think when the guy writes the manifesto, he's telling you what he thinks. Gilroy, California, that guy is just a cipher. Nobody knows what that guy's story was. This guy in Dayton, what I find interesting about that particular case is that he killed his sister, and it looks like there were both black people and white people killed. So I'm wondering, that looks to me like a murderous rage based on maybe race or something, but much more disorganized than this guy in El Paso. This reminds me of like a Tim McVeigh style attack. This was planned, and he went to execute the attack.
Hey, Brett, but the shooter in Ohio, you had the school principal, him being quoted recently in the last 24 hours saying, "I'm not surprised. This guy has had all the signs that he was about to do something." Where was the school officials? We do a good job, Brett, in America, law enforcement-wise, screening visitors to America. Most visitors are screened, okay? Very well. Why in America, our schools need to do a better job having a file? Some people say, well, there's profiling. I don't care what you call it, but each school system in America really should have a file, a wellness file for each student. What's wrong with that?
Well, okay, so on that very point, looking at these attacks, I see Nicholas Cruz and the guy in Dayton probably as similar cases. I see El Paso as a standalone here for the time being right now. Maybe Dylan Roofish, like that. And then Gilroy, I see Vegas. I see the guy in Vegas that assassinated all those people. And to this day, there's no motive that's known.
Yeah, it's again, Brett, we need to do a better job from policing in America to our schools in America to our medical facilities. There are enough signs out there on each and every incident that this could have been prevented. And it's a tragedy that innocent people have to die. This is not about throwing more money at an issue. This is not about more laws. We have enough laws governing guns in America. This is really about
Sure.
the destruction of our families, and our schools need to do a better job. They're in the front line.
Yeah. I will say this on the way out the door here. I got a minute and a half left. I will say this, Eric. The anti-cop rhetoric's got to stop, okay? Because it was cops that stopped these violent assaults. And I am sick and tired of watching our LEOs get made out to be terrorists by troublemakers. And that's got to stop, too. I'll give you the final word, 30 seconds.
Amen. Yeah, amen, Brett. You know, it's a thankless job in many cases, and our politicians need to stop this rhetoric and support the men and women of law enforcement. They're willing to die for you and me, and they don't even know it's from a hole in a wall. Let's give them the respect and love and the equipment that they need to protect us, because who are you going to call at 2 a.m. in the morning? You're going to call 911, and some stranger is going to show up at your house and potentially save your life.
Yep. Well said. Switched on Life is Eric Caron's site, and get his book, get his website, get his thinking, because he's a smart guy and he has served this nation honorably. I appreciate you, Eric, being out there, buddy, and let's get together again real soon.
Thanks for having me, Brett. Stay switched on.